So I was a kid when I first felt like the pull to perform, but the fear also came along with that, the discomfort. And as I'm in my 40s, rediscovering what it means for me to be a creative, a part of my identity that it was a part of me that was very rooted for a long time, since childhood on through at least undergrad and in some into graduate school and a little bit beyond. I'm now in a place of rediscovery, right? And appreciate those of you who've been on this journey with me and just me talking about my creative journey in my 40s and what that looks like. And I remember story time. I remember being a young girl, and I don't remember how old I was. I wish I did, because that could color this conversation. But I remember being young and my mom taking me, because I lived in New York, taking me to see Aida on Broadway. I'd had the book of the opera, and I went to see the original cast of Aida on Broadway. Shout out to Heather Headley, right? And I was just awe-stricken. I was sitting in the audience, like hearing her sing, hearing them all sing, seeing the story played out that I can read in books. I was sitting there like, I felt something in me and I was like, wow. Because there's someone who doesn't know me on that stage, who is performing, who is expressing, who is emoting. And I, one person in this whole place sitting here, I felt it. I could feel it. You made me feel something. You don't know who I am. I don't know who you are. But I felt it. And I was like, wow. And I was older than around 7, 8. I know that much because I started writing poetry probably around 7, 8. And I had this whole binder. I remember it was a blue binder, just one of those regular 3-ring binders with these poems that I had put in there, right? It was my book of poetry. And it felt very official being in the 3-ring binder. And I remember that one of the reasons why I would write was, yes, to express myself. I had all these thoughts and creative thoughts and words and lines would come to my head. And so I would write it down. And that that was an important piece for me, but that wasn't the whole, because I also wanted to share it. I wanted someone to read it. I wanted to perform it and read it for my mom, for my dad, for my siblings. I wanted someone else to hear it. I remember I wrote poetry for my friends as gifts, right? Just expressing how amazing they were, or how much I valued our friendship. I had a friend who got married after we graduated college. She was on one of my dorm mates, and she actually asked me to write a piece for her wedding and perform it at her wedding and read it at her wedding. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it was moments like that, because yes, you want to express, but you want to make someone feel something. You The creativity, whatever that looked like, it was a conversation. It was a connection between you and someone else, maybe somebody you would never meet in your whole life, and that was beautiful to me. And yet, something about the pull, right, was also scary for me. It was also uncomfortable. Something about being in the spotlight felt like I was being opened up and cracked open, and there was a level of very real vulnerability, and there was a level of inviting criticism and inviting judgment, and not being in a place in my life where I can be like, I don't care what people think. Right. And that's still something that from the creative side, right? From the personality side, from how I show up side, it's like, I don't care what everybody thinks. I care what a select few people do think, right? People I care about, just being honest, true to myself still, but still have thoughts about, like, oh, I value their thoughts. I value your opinion, even if I'm still going to do my own thing in this way. I value it. Other people, I just don't. Strangers, I just don't. But at that time, not being in a space where I can make those discernments, and everybody's criticisms or judgments are uncomfortable, and you're opening yourself up to all of that. What if they're like, you can't sing? Or what if they thought this isn't good? And, you know, the biggest critic isn't really the audience. It was whatever was happening internally. And it was also kind of a culmination of messages and things that I'm sure that I got from just living in the world. And we start to doubt ourselves, or we start to shrink ourselves, or what do they say? We start to what's the phrase that folks like to use, the people use, to like dim your light. And they're like, you shouldn't dim your light, but sometimes it's not always easy to shine bright. It can be really uncomfortable. And it can feel like in order to do something creatively that matters, that it has to be big, right? I'm sitting in this audience and I'm watching Aida, and this is a big deal. This is on Broadway in New York. You know, this is Aida on Broadway in New York. It was a big deal. It was a big stage. It was something that is was memorable and that a lot of people were going to see and talk about. And sometimes you feel like in order to be an artist that there has to be this bigness to it. But then I'm like, well, what if it's just showing up? What if it's just showing up in while you're figuring it out in a messy way? I just bought some paints and some paintbrushes just to paint. And I talked to you as I made a video about how I am doing things I haven't really done before creatively, just to kind of have fun and see what happens and see what pours out. But I've been thinking about the space in which I have limited myself, in which I have gone up just up until this point and then been like, well, let me shimmy on back. Um, because I'm not, at first I was like, because I'm not pursuing anything big. Like maybe I should go back to the theater and do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, just show up. And it doesn't have to be in a big way. It just has to be an opportunity for you to not only express yourself, because that part I'm doing, right? But then are you also going to share? Are you going to second guess whether you think this is worth sharing? Because it's not something you would normally do. And not sharing because you need follows or accolades or likes or any of that, but sharing because you never know who might lay eyes on it and smile, or who might lay eyes on it and be like, oh, this made my day, this made me feel better, or this made me laugh, or this made me think, or whatever. And now you're in this invisible conversation and connection with someone else. And that synergy is part of why I don't think I've ever really been, despite the discomfort of vulnerability and being cracked open to and open to criticism and judgment from other people, other people's opinions, despite being uncomfortable with that. I never really was the kind of creative who would write something and not want other people to see it. Um, or other people to read it, or for me to share it or read it. I thought a lot of the beauty was in the share. And I think about now, all these years later, I'm not sitting on, it doesn't have to be necessarily this big stage, but what stage do I have that I don't have to covet or claw for or find or pay for? Like, what's the low hanging fruit that I can grab at this moment in this season of my life? So, um, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half. Time is a funny thing, child. Time is a funny thing. And I can't remember exactly circa what, but I have another YouTube channel. Not YouTube channel. Strike that, another Instagram page. I have my main Instagram page that I've had for years. And that's where I do a lot of my marriage coaching stuff. I talk about family, like worlds, like homeschooling, like all the things. And I had a page that was just for me. And I called it Money in Focus because my mom called me Money. So she just took the first I off my first name and called me Money a lot. And I want to kind of distinguish this. And it started because I was doing some like independent modeling, and I was doing some self portrait work, and I was thinking that that was something that I was really going to get into. And it started with that. And then it just was like, this is a creative space where I can share things that I'm doing creatively, whether it is a song I want to sing or a piece that I'm working on that I want to share. Um, or maybe it is a picture that I've taken as I'm playing with the camera, of myself, or self-portraiture. Like, it could be a lot of things, anything that I wanted to share. And I have let that just go by the wayside. I don't remember the last time that I actually posted on that page. And part of it, okay, not an excuse, but just sharing, part of it is that I'm not one to put the camera on me a lot, which I know is ironic considering this YouTube page. But this YouTube page, actually, I am enjoying long form, and this takes some energy. This takes energy. This takes, even though I'm off the cuff and I don't script my videos, it still takes energy. It still takes some thought. It still takes, like, I'm doing this with intention. Let me say that, right? I'm being intentional about the content. And because of that, I try not to stretch myself too thin, right? So I don't like to be like, I'm posting in 17 million places. And what I told myself just now, as we're talking, as I'm talking this through with you, and what you might be able to relate to too, let me know if you do, is that it doesn't have to, I'm not on anybody's timeline with that. Like, if it strikes me to be like, hey, let me take this picture of something I painted, let me share it. Let that be a stage, let that be a platform, no matter who sees it. It might be one person, and that's amazing. One person who's like, oh, okay, cool. One person that connects with you in that moment creatively. It could be something that I want to sing. And what if my voice cracks? And what if I don't hit the note that I thought I was going to hit? So what? And the so what for me in the past is like, and still here, like, what if somebody's like, but you can't sing though? Like, she thinks she can sing, but she can't. And I'm like, what do I think? To come back to that question, like, what do I think about me? And it doesn't sometimes we think creatively that that the stage has to be big and it has to look this some way. And for some people, that's their path. But in the journey that I'm in, and some of you may be in, and finding your creativity and finding what lights you up in that moment, the stage might be as simple as another Instagram page. It might be as simple as having some friends over and sharing something that you're working on with your friends. Like, it can be in the intimate connection of showing up for yourself first in the expression, and then showing up to share with others, so that the connection has space and has space to breathe. So, in this season of rediscovery around creativity, creative outlet, creative journey, I'm like, okay, showing up. I've already have a platform. What's the lowest hanging fruit? What do I want to share? And whatever it is, just sharing it without filtering, without overthinking, without saying it's not creative enough, because the creatives out here creating, okay? I see poets out here doing their thing, producing. It is a produced piece, okay? And I'm like, I'm here for it. It is good. And it makes me feel good inside. And I love it. And I don't have the bandwidth for that. And I'm like, is the important part the package that it's in, or just for me to put it out there? And sometimes you just gotta start, you gotta put it out there. Sometimes you gotta show up. You gotta try new things. You just gotta do it. You just gotta step to it. From so much of us, we we are our own obstacles. We get in our own way. We step in front of ourselves and be like, halt. Who goes there? Okay. And we don't start, we don't ever get rolling. And we say we're going to do it someday, someday, someday. We're going to do it one day, one day, one day. And at some point, you have to be like, okay, this is day one, and I'm here and I'm doing it. So that's where I'm at. I am giving myself I don't want to say permission, um, but I'm reigniting that spark to utilize that space that I already have as a virtual stage for myself, and as a way for me to have this collection of things that I've done creatively on this journey, and go back and see it, even if it's messy, even if it's like, oh, girl, okay. But then you can see, like, this is where I was and this is where I am now. And that's okay. And that's actually kind of great. So, shout out to Aida and that memory, for reminding me of the pull, reminding me of the discomfort, reminding me of the feeling of connection, reminding me that stages come in many shapes and forms, but the point is that the people were there. The point is in the showing up. And even for them, I'm sure, like when you do theater, every show's not a banger. You didn't do your absolute, like there was a note that maybe was a little flat. There was a step that was missed in that dance interlude, and you just got to keep going because it's live and we're human and we grow and we evolve. I don't know. You just get random. Okay, it's fine. Um, but yeah, so that's where I'm at, y'all. That's where I'm at. I promised that I would keep you abreast of this particular journey. I have a playlist, so if you're interested in just the creative journey of me rediscovering that in my 40s and kind of what has come up for that, please, check out the playlist. And thank you so much for being here, for watching. If there's something that you're doing creatively, something that you want to do creatively, something that you wish you were doing creatively now, let me know down below in the comments. I'm definitely curious. I definitely have I definitely love to see what other people are getting into and what they'd want to do, what they want to do creatively, and an opportunity to expand what that looks like. Because a lot of times we think about visual arts or performing arts, but creativity shows up in a lot of different ways. So let me know down in the comments below if anything resonated with you, or you felt like, yeah, that's me. Let me know. Say hey, so I know you're here. You're more than just a number to me. So I love it when I can actually see who's watching, who's listening. And I'm Imani Aisha. I am many things. I'm a marriage coach, but I'm also many things, obviously. And I share that here on this channel. And I come and I make these videos to remind us to stay connected to yourself, to your spouse, and to creating a life that feels good to you. Because we only get the one. So if that's your vibe, please subscribe. Let's continue this conversation. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'm going to see you in the next video.